Peace be upon you and welcome to today's episode of Mind Your Own Business, the show where we help business leaders to become more successful, be more happy and be more free. On today's show, we're going to be joined by a special guest. This special guest has recently featured on Channel 4 and is taking a business from £600 turnover all the way to one of the biggest shopping centres in the world and transformed that into a multi-million pound turnover business. All that and more in today's show. Now let's meet our guest. Kazi Shafiqur Rahman, thank you very much for coming onto our show today.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
It's always a pleasure to have people with your talents. So tell us a little bit more about what you're up to at the moment.
So what I'm doing right now is I'm on a quest to launch a British new airline. So currently we are almost about 3 months away from the actual launch of the company. We've been working very hard for the past few years. I mean, the reason why it's been a few years is because obviously I'm trying to do it steadily and properly, and not try and run before I can walk. So I'm trying to do everything slowly but steadily, much like how we started Sunna, where we started very small, and then we've grown as we developed a solid and strong foundation to the company.
Yeah, so we're going to ask you a little bit more about Sunna in the show and ask you some questions about how you overcame your challenges and what it is that drove you from driving such a small business from a tiny market stall and putting it into one of the biggest shopping centres in the world. Before we do that, you are the CEO and founder of Firnas Airways, and you recently featured on the Channel 4 documentary as well. Tell us a little bit more about that.
So the Channel 4 documentary process has been it's been a very interesting journey for me, because I have never been a media person. I've always been afraid of cameras, right. And I'm sure you can see now I'm quite, I'm okay, I'm relaxed, and
yeah,
I think
terrified right now.
I think it was more to do with my journey with Channel 4. I mean, I remember the first day they said, yeah, we're going to come and do a master interview with you, and I was like, literally, I was so afraid. Yeah. But somehow along the journey I've kind of transformed myself, and I guess with their help, it's been a very fascinating journey. It's effectively like, trying to, cook the food in front of your customers. Right. So you've got the camera crew following you around, almost every day, trying to see what you're doing. Yeah. So, you're always afraid, like, am I making a mistake, or am I going to do something wrong, or am I going to be able to meet my targets and goals? So it's been a very kind of challenging journey, I would say. It's been like running 2 marathons at the same time, where you're trying to launch the company at the same time, satisfy the Channel 4 documentary as well. So
you're at the start of your journey with Firnas Airways right now, but before you started Firnas Airways, you was one of the founders of Sunna. So tell us a little bit more about Sunna for people that are not familiar with your brand.
So Sunna is a retail business. We mainly focus on oil-based fragrances and what you can consider to be Arabic fragrances. So that's what we specialize in. We started off very small. I'm sure many would they have witnessed the fact that we were trading behind Islam Mosque, from the back of our vans and cars, and then on to market stalls in Bethnal Green and Whitechapel Market, and then to Ilford Shopping Centre, and then ultimately to the likes of Westfield, and having our flagship store opposite Islam Mosque, right near the Islamic Bank. So I mean, it's been a hugely challenging journey, because obviously we don't deal with bank interest and any form of banking instruments, such as letter of credits or overdraft facilities. So it's the journey has been a lot more kind of it's been slower for us because of the organic growth that we wanted to kind of do. And you're operating in a country where everything is based on banks. So yeah, it's been very tough, but at the same time, alhamdulillah, we must thank Allah and of course our parents for their du'as and everything. We have been, I would consider ourselves to be, alhamdulillah, quite successful. I'm not going to say, we're quite there yet. We've got a long way to go for Sunna.
as you do say, all praise to Allah for everything that you've achieved so far. However, you started at one point where you were trading out of the back of vans and out of, like you say, in market stores. What led you from going from market stalls to going into some of the bigger shopping centres? What was the tipping point there?
I think every business has to have some motivations behind it, and sometimes that motivation comes from the person who's leading the business, or sometimes it could be other factors. But in our case, I think personally, obviously we have 5 brothers who are all part of the business, but I personally have been very kind of ambitious, and I wanted to kind of take the brand to a mainstream level, because when people say things to me, sometimes they would probably say with a view to put you down or to discredit you.
What's an example?
So they will say, oh, market stall or selling attar, like, how are you going to make that successful? You should do this or you should do that. And these are the sorts of things that makes me more motivated to prove them, actually, so, I'll prove it to you.
Yeah, we speak to a lot of business leaders who actually say they find their motivation and their drive by proving to everyone that they can do it. On a previous show, we had an athlete here, and he wanted to do things because when people said to him, you can't do it, he wanted to prove to them that actually you can do it. Is that something similar for you as well?
I'd say, this is one of the common themes entrepreneurs and business people have, because obviously people would tell you on your face, you can't do it. And then you have this urge to say, actually, do you know what? I can do it and I'll prove it to you. Obviously money is also a factor, but I think more than that, it was more about creating a business that would really have a solid foundation. And we have taken some major risks, given our circumstances and the context we were operating in. So for example, we went from a market stall operator where we were paying like £20 a day rent to paying like almost over 100 grand a year. So that has been a huge leap, and I must admit it was my mother who was saying go ahead and do it. I think she's more of a risk taker than us, because us brothers, we were kind of shaking a bit before making that decision, but she gave the strength to say, go and do it.
So where did the idea come from to take the risk from going from a market stall in somewhere like Bethnal Green to going to somewhere like Ilford shopping centre, which was the first one?
The reason why we ended up in Ilford shopping centre was because it was winter time. We were operating, we've had a very successful summer in Whitechapel Market, and it was winter. You could barely stand in the cold. Your hands were freezing, the perfumes were starting to crystallize, and so it was really difficult to operate in that environment. So I started looking around to see if there was a indoor and more cozy environment where we can trade out of. And then fortunately I came across this site in Ilford Shopping Centre. Not many people at that time were going for that approach, but I thought, let me just give them a call and see what they say. And they said, yeah, come and demonstrate your product and we'll see what it's all about. We ended up, we did go and demonstrate, and they said, yeah, if you want to go ahead, then let's start. It was Christmas time, I think, and they wanted, like, rent-wise, they wanted about £1,500 a week at that time, and we thought we might as well give it a go, because what else? I mean, what could go wrong? Yeah, we might end up losing, some money, but we're not going to lose all of it. So let's just give it a try, and we did, and it worked out fantastically well. So
what you're saying is you almost stumbled upon Ilford Shopping Centre by accident. It was winter, it was cold. And you wanted somewhere cozy, somewhere you could have a nice cup of tea with nice heaters when you're not freezing and your products don't have icicles on them. So you found yourself a little deal at a shopping centre and you thought, let's give it a go, why not? It's Christmas season, what could possibly go wrong?
Exactly, that was the case.
And then what did you discover from that?
And what we've learned from that move was that actually, if we can afford to pay that kind of rent and still survive, then I'm sure we can go forward with this and go further. And we've also realized people actually want our products. And, because we were giving quality products, and some people complain, why is Sunna Musk perfume so expensive? It's the fact that we pay more to buy more expensive products. So we realized people actually want our products, and then, we wanted to take it further. So that's when we decided we would, at that time, just before 2011, 2012 Olympic, we thought we've got to go into Westfield Shopping Centre, and the guy came over to inspect our site in Ilford Shopping Centre. He's seen it, he liked what we were doing, and then all of a sudden he disappeared. You know, he made us an offer and he said, "Look, I'll put you in front of H&M and H&M and Zara and everyone else."
Who's the guy?
The guy, he was the leasing director from Westwood Shopping Centre. He came to see, what we were doing and our products and our approach and presentation. So after that, I had to chase him for about 6 months. 6 months non-stop. Normally people would have given up. I ended up in Westwood Shopping Centre, the other one, this one, it was still being built at that time. I was calling up, I was emailing, I was literally on the guy, on his case. And then fortunately again, alhamdulillah, I managed to email one of the seniors, his seniors, and he said by tomorrow 9 a.m. someone will call you. And they did.
So it sounds fortunate you didn't get a restraining order after chasing you down with him.
I could have if I carried on.
Okay. So what you said so far is your success has been down to being determined.
Determined. 100%.
To prove people wrong. With Sunna Master, certainly. Being determined to prove people wrong, being a little bit fortunate and taking the risk, but being willing to take that risk, and the quality of your product, it sells itself. So it doesn't matter where you take that product and put it, it's going to sell itself because the quality of Sunna Mask fragrances are fantastic.
Exactly.
And that's been the kind of recipe of your success.
100%.
And onto that, to compound that from a turnover of a 3-figure to a 7-figure turnover, what you decided to do is go for the big ticket and go into the Westfield Shopping Centre. And for that, you had to chase somebody literally down for 6 months. So you had to be, you had to be determined, but you had to be resilient.
Yep.
You had to take the no's or the non-responses and keep pushing and keep pushing. And like you said, you did that for every day for 6 months.
Yeah.
That must have been quite challenging. And for some people, I can imagine they would have given up after a couple of days. What kept you going? Where did you find that focus?
We so wanted it. We really, really wanted to be in Westfield. It actually, and looking back, we're so glad we chased them, because from that moment we became a brand, from a market stall operator to a brand, Sunna Mask brand, and from there on we haven't looked back. We opened our shop in East London, opposite East London Mosque, our flagship store, probably the best looking shop in the whole of area. I'm sure you'll agree. And then we've opened up more stores in Wood Green and most recently in West London in Southall Broadway.
Okay, excellent. And how do you pick your locations?
With locations, we like to pick locations that are more expensive. So that gives us an indication there is a reason why it's expensive.
So what you're saying, you profile an area, go for an affluent area where people have a higher disposable income.
Yes. So if the guy is saying, look, 100 grand, I would like that, because then I would know at least there's some footfall there. I would rather operate in an area where you're constantly turning over revenue than just sit there all day, waiting for customers to come.
The crows to fly.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much for answering those questions in part one. So in part one, we've spoken to the founder and CEO of Firnas Airways, formerly the operations manager for Sunna Mask, and we find out a little bit about what's driven him to achieve the level of success he's achieved. And what have we learned? What we've learned is you've got to be willing to take a risk, you've got to be determined, and you've got to focus on what you want, and you have to go out there and prove people wrong. Some people get motivated by doing what they want. Our CEO here has been determined and motivated by people telling him he can't do it, that drive to prove people wrong. And once you've got those things, you have to be a little bit fortunate, but luck favors people that are prepared, and he was prepared to take the risk, and he was at the right place at the right time. They took that risk and it paid out for them. It paid out so much that now they wanted to go from being in Ilford all the way to the biggest shopping centre in the world, Westfield. And they were rejected for 6 months, and they had to go and knock on doors and send emails and harass them for 6 months. But that did not stop him. So that's part one. In part two, we'll find out more about Firnas Airways and what the future shows for him. All that and more in the second part of the show.
Whoever offers a sacrifice after prayer has completed his rituals and has followed the way of the Muslims. Last year, we reached thousands of disadvantaged people in Africa, Middle East, India, Pakistan and Bangladesh who enjoyed meat due to your great sacrifice on Qurbani. We ensured healthy animals with highest care on behalf of you. Please continue your trust on us. Share your Qurbani sacrifice with Human Relief Foundation. Call 0207 060 4422.
Regent's Lake, a beautiful venue in the heart of Tower Hamlets, in an inspiring location by Victoria Park and the Regent's Canal, accommodating for up to 600 guests. Perfect for small, large and segregated weddings, specialising in all types of events, giving you exclusive in-house catering facilities. Regent's Lake, your perfect choice.
If you've had an accident and that was not your fault, let Unicorn fight for your rights. Don't know where to take the car after an accident? Let Unicorn recover your car 24 hours a day. We provide prompt accident recovery and vehicle replacement. Want someone to help fight for your rights for a non-fault accident? Let Unicorn help you to recover from the losses you have suffered from. Our specialist solicitors provide full legal representation. Thinking of hiring a car to suit an occasion? Let Unicorn provide you an amazing car collection. We provide any sort of vehicle for private hire for any purpose. Unicorn, we provide the right car for the right purpose. Sitting in a broken car after a non-fault accident and thinking of what to do? Let Unicorn replace your vehicle right now. We provide replacement vehicle hire. Unicorn, your non-fault claim assistant and vehicle hire.
Impression Events Venue's 10th year anniversary discounts of £1,000 for all 2018 functions. For bookings, call 0207 473 4455.
Mint Caterers.
Caterers bring taste and glamour to your event.
PCO Claims মিনিক্যাব ড্রাইভারের বিপদর বন্ধু গাড়ি অ্যাক্সিডেন্ট করিয়া জবলেস হওয়ার দিন শেষ জাস্ট ওয়ান ফোন কলে PCO Claims আপনারে দিতে পারে 24 hours recovery immediate replacement car storage and repair service 02077917799.
Impression Events Venue's 10th year anniversary discounts of £1,000 for all 2018 functions. For bookings, call 0207 473 4455.
Mom, isn't Dad come back home?
When a marriage breaks down, children suffer the most. If you are in this situation, we are here to help.
For Child and Family Matters, Kingdom Solicitors.
আমাদের কমিউনিটিতে কার্গো বিজনেসের প্রসার ঘটিয়েছে জিএমজি। এক যুগেরও বেশি সময় ধরে জিএমজি আস্থার সাথে সেবা দিয়ে যাচ্ছে। সস্তা বিজ্ঞাপনে প্রতারিত হবেন না। জিএমজি বাংলাদেশ বিমান অনুমোদিত একমাত্র কার্গো সেলস এজেন্ট। কার্গো সেবা নিলে বেস্ট সেবাটাই নিন, নিরাপদ থাকুন। জিএমজি কার্গো, আস্থা ও বিশ্বস্ততার প্রতীক।
Whoever offers a sacrifice after prayer has completed his rituals and has followed the way of the Muslims. Last year, we reached thousands of disadvantaged people in Africa, Middle East, India, Pakistan and Bangladesh who enjoyed meat due to your great sacrifice on Qurbani. We ensured healthy animals with highest care on behalf of you. Please continue your trust on us. Share your Qurbani sacrifice with Human Relief Foundation. Call 0207 060 4422.
Welcome back to Mind Your Own Business. And the first half of the show, if you missed out, well, you missed out. What we looked at was our special guest, CEO and founder of Firnas Airways, Kazi Shafiqur Rahman, and he gave us a little insight to his previous business, Sunna Musk, and how he grew that from a £600 turnover to a £1 million turnover company. He explained how he was determined and relentless in chasing down his opportunities. He also explained how he was happy to take risks and how he was fortunate enough to be in the right place at the right time. But more importantly, what he's explained and what was the recipe to his success was their belief in the fact that if they put everything into something and they focus on that, it will grow and it will flourish. And it was proved absolutely right, which is what led them to going into one of the biggest shopping centers in the world when they started off the back of a van. In the second half of the show, we're going to ask Kazi Shafiqur Rahman more about his plans going forwards with Firnas Airways, where he is now, and what tips and advice he would give to aspiring entrepreneurs and people looking to become more successful, so business leaders like yourself. So all that and more in the second half of today's show. Kazi bhai, I hope you enjoyed the break.
I
Had
did.
a chance to get some water?
Yes, I certainly have.
You've given us a lot of information today, which is really good, and you shared a lot of some very personal stuff, and we appreciate that. And it's very nice to see that from you, and it's very humbling as well. So let's focus on Firnas Airways now. Tell us a little bit more about where you are right now with that, and what is your next step?
So what we're doing right now with Firnas Airways is going through the whole regulatory approval process, and that is from the British authorities, not a third world country authorities. So everything has to be done by the books. You know, for example, you know, when we started the process, you know, we were not confident about the whole team structure.
Right.
So we've had to delay things. You know, we had to wait and get the proper people on board. So, you know, we don't get stopped over, you know, for not having a strong team. So, you know, these things take time, and, you know, I know a lot of people have been, you know, waiting patiently for this to happen. There are a lot of supporters out there who want Firnas to happen. But, you know, unfortunately, you know, when you're working with the regulators, you know, you have to go with their pace. Now, I'm sure you understand this, you know, more than anyone else. You know, with regulators, you can't push them. If you push them, it's counterproductive. They'll probably slow down. So that's what we're doing. But I think where, you know, this whole idea started from was my passion again. You know, I'm very passionate about the aviation business. You know, the whole concept of
We'll come to your personal life in a moment. Just before we move on to that, what is the next step for Firnas Airways? So once you've got through the compliance and the red tape hurdles, what's the next step?
The next step is to start operating as a private charter operator. So we're not going to take on any schedules at this stage. Once we've fine-tuned our business and the processes and the systems and the foundation of the company, then we would, inshallah, gradually grow into scheduled operations within Europe. But at this stage, just remain as a private charter operator where we would fly corporate travelers or even group travelers, or maybe a group of friends who would want to, you know, go for a day out in Paris or maybe Ireland or Scotland.
So local trips to Europe.
Local trips within Europe. We've got a 19-seater aircraft, so it's perfect for, you know, even sightseeing, you know, excursions, you know, all those sorts of things. And we've been actually having, we've been getting a lot of inquiries from big companies like Airbus as well to, you know, use our services to move their staff around.
Okay. And when do you anticipate that progressing or coming to fruition?
It's really difficult to give a time frame, but personally, in my mind, you know, I would like to have this up and running by October or November. Oh,
October this year?
Yeah.
Excellent. Okay. So that sounds like it's in the very near future then.
Alhamdulillah.
Okay.
I mean, we've been at work for some time now, and, you know, with Brexit and everything, you know, that's happening around us, you know, there's a lot of uncertainty around our industry, aviation industry, where, you know, there's a lot of regulations involved, a lot of negotiations involved with the European Union. So we've been subject to some of that, you know, delay as well as we speak.
Okay. So now let's focus on a little bit more of you as a person. And we're going to take a little deep dive into your personal life to find out the traits of successful entrepreneurs like yourself. So you have no previous background in aviation. Your family is not in aviation. No one in your family owns an airline. So what's compelled you to start your own airline?
I'm a Bangladeshi, and, you know, I am as frustrated as everyone else with the fact that why is it that we always have to use our flagship operator to fly to places like Bangladesh. For the Pakistanis, it's the same love-hate relationship with their flag carrier, PIA. So I thought, you know, why isn't, I mean, there has been numerous attempts to solve this problem, but I don't know why they, you know, are not here today operating, you know, flights to those destinations. But I thought, you know what, I'm young, I'm still young, and I think with an honest approach and everything, you know, I can give it a shot and see how far I go. Initially, it wasn't so serious. I mean, I had to make myself believe that, you know, I can actually take this project on.
Yeah.
So I had to kind of reason with myself for a few months. And then, you know, I took that leap of faith, and I just thought, you know what, I'm going to do one thing a day that will take me closer towards my ultimate goal. And I did that. I kept on doing one thing a day, one email a day, one call a day, one this a day. And then very soon I found myself, you know, in a very serious kind of situation where I'm discussing various things with various people, various suppliers, various airports, various aircraft lessors, you know, investors. And that's how it all kind of started. And I thought, yes, I understand and I accept. I haven't done, you know, aviation business before, but I think, as you've summarized before, with business, you know, there are certain ingredients that you need when it comes to business. And, you know, it could be your product, it could be your customer service, it could be the fact that you do things in a different way. And I thought, you know, we can actually do things quite differently in aviation as well, you know, bring fresh ideas to the table. And you know, that's what we've kind of believed in, and we've got a team around us, and that's what kind of empowers me to kind of move forward, because obviously alone I can't do it. But when you have the team around you who have combined 100+ years of experience, you know, who are always feeding information to you. So although you haven't done it before, as long as you can make good decisions and good judgments based on the fact and the information that you receive, then I think anyone can do it.
It sounds a bit like what you're telling me there is about, similar, reminds me of Henry Ford, where he said, I don't know anything about cars, but on my phone I have access to experts that know everything there is to know about anything.
Exactly, 100%.
So it sounds like you've built yourself a really good team with the knowledge in the right places, and all your job is to do is to make sure that you manage that process and you make the right calls, whether that's intuitive or whether that's from a logical process.
Yep.
It's just similarly to what you've done in the past, build on what you've done basically.
Yeah, I mean, just having a 360 overview, you know, of the whole project, because obviously the team are responsible for certain tasks, and what you're doing is you're sitting at the top and looking at everything like a satellite, and you have to make a decision based on all the information.
Okay. So was it one frustrating trip that made you question and say, I want to challenge the status quo on flights to, you know, Bangladesh and Pakistan, or was there more to it than that?
There has been. It's like every time I flew on our flagship carrier, you know, maybe other people would have different experience, but what I felt was like, I owed something to them for being on that flight, although I'm the passenger, and, you know, I am the one who should be treated, you know, the way I should be treated as a passenger. I remember, you know, staying in Dhaka like for so long, you know, for hours and hours, and mosquito biting you to get to your destination. And, you know, you go to Sylhet and then you go through Dhaka on the way back, and it's like, yes, I get the fact that there's fueling issues at Sylhet, you know, runway issues, but, you know, it could be done in a proper way. And, you know, I think it's those frustrations, and I'll be honest with you, it's those 3 failures, you know, in the community that kind of motivated me even more to really take this on, and again prove to the community that actually, you know, it can be done. Aviation business is not to be blamed. Aviation business actually makes money. EasyJet is making money. Ryanair is making money. The guys who are very disciplined, they make money. But, you know, it's what's behind the business. You know, if the motivation is to generate profit, then there is money to be made. So if I've understood you correctly, what you're saying is you went on a flight and you experienced much below your standards of level of satisfaction you would expect. You felt like they was doing you a favour by letting you pay £1,000 to fly on their plane. Yeah. You weren't happy with the service, and you thought, hang on, there is a better way to this. There must be a better solution, and I'm the man to offer that. Yep. Okay, absolutely. I mean, I completely get what you're saying. My first time on a plane, in fact, it was with Biman Bangladesh. And on the way to Bangladesh, it caught fire over Austria. Oh my God. Yeah, so that was my first experience on a plane. So yes, anyone
and I speak to a lot of people who aren't happy with some of the providers that provide flights from here to countries like Bangladesh and Pakistan. But there's not really much alternative choice for them unless they get connecting flights. And when you're traveling with small kids or elderly people or people that health condition isn't always there, you know, the option for a straight, whatever you call it, a direct flight,
non-stop.
A direct flight is the only provider, so that's the reason why people take it.
Exactly.
So I think it would be healthy to see some more competition in the market.
Of course, and we want to, you know, some people are under the misunderstanding the fact that nobody can fly into Sylhet. That's not true. That is not true, because a British operator with a British license can fly into Sylhet 14 times a week, just the way Biman can come to London non-stop direct 14 times a week. It's a bilateral agreement. It's a two-way agreement between the two countries. So there is no issues on that front. And, you know, inshallah, when the time is right, I'd anticipate 3 to 4 years, because obviously what we're doing right now is really just proving ourselves and our business model, and the fact that we can actually sustain a safe operation. And then the next stage would be to raise more capital, more fund, and get a Champions League team on board. Currently we have a very strong team, but, you know, I want the likes of, you know, from aviation world, the likes of Mo Salah to come and play with us. And I have got some people on, you know, who I am discussing with, who I am negotiating with. And again, I've been chasing them for 4 years, you know, to come and join me. Of course, at this stage, they can't join me because they have got too much to lose. Obviously, we're still a startup. Yes. But once we have proved ourselves that we can actually do it, then they will, you know, put the name to attach the name to our company.
Jump onto the bandwagon.
Yes,
so
yes.
Likely, so to speak.
But he is someone. It's one particular person, and inshallah, people will see in the right time. He is a Champions League player.
Okay. So you've got your eye on the secret weapon.
Of
basically.
Course. You know, I've been chasing him for about
being able to
4 years.
To press the button.
Yes.
Okay. Excellent. So you also had some experience working with aircrafts and aviation yourself when you was a few years younger. Tell us a little bit more about that.
Well, I wouldn't be embarrassed, because there's nothing to be embarrassed about. Every job is a job. I started off as an aircraft cleaner. I cleaned aircraft toilets, I cleaned aircraft seats, I polished planes, the private jets. I done the whole bug drop, you know, the water servicing, you know, every job that needed doing when it came to servicing a plane. And I've done that, and, you know, that really kind of taught me so much about the whole operation, and it kind of, you know, made me more passionate about the whole aviation operation, because it all works like a clockwork. And I want to be able to kind of, you know, do that myself one day, inshallah.
Okay, sure. And we're running out of time now, so the last thing I want to ask you is, if there was 3 pieces of advice that you could give on how to be successful or how to become a better business leader, what would your advice be? What's your top
if I remember correctly, towards the end of the Channel 4 documentary, by the way, they can still watch it on Channel 4 Catch Up. The show is still there, it will disappear in a minute. I think first of all is, you know, being determined, as you've already pointed out, you know, you can't just give up. And secondly was, you know, you must, you know, just keep pushing forward. Persistence is key. You need to persevere. And thirdly is focus. Just keep going, because you don't know what's on your way. You'll only know, you know, once you've progressed to that destination, if it's a good thing waiting for you or a bad thing. Usually when you work so hard, when you work your butt off, you know, it's usually a good thing that's awaiting along the way.
So thank you very much for your time, and thank you very much for those tips. We wish you all the best with your business going forward, and I have no doubts we'll bring you back in here to find out more about how your journey continues.
Inshallah, no problem.
So that's about all we've got time for on today's episode of Mind Your Own Business. So in the first half of the show, just to recap, we learned a little bit about Kazi Shafiqur Rahman and about his Sunna Musk business, and how that went from a £600 turnover business to a £1.2 million turnover business. And in the second half of the show, we learned more about his ambitions with Firnas Airways, and as we've heard, they're going around the red tape right now, but hopefully towards the end of the year, you should be able to book a private chartered flight and fly your friends and family to Europe or Paris. So keep an eye out for that. And the most important thing that we've learned today is the top tips that Kazi Shafiqur Rahman has given for you as a business leader on what you can do to become more successful, become more happy and become more free. And the first thing is to be focused. Make sure you're focused on your end goal. We heard him say he had the goal of setting up an airline. He didn't know how he was going to do it. He didn't know if it's going to happen, but he said to himself, I'm going to do one thing a day. So the focus was there to do one thing a day, but the more important thing was he was persevering. Every day he did something towards his goal, and that helped him to get closer to his ultimate goal and get him to the stage where he is today, appearing on national TV and with his Sunna Musk business appearing in the biggest shopping center in the world. And finally, the most important thing that we've discovered from a theme throughout all of the guests we've had on all of our shows is to be determined. In order to achieve the goals and in order to achieve the level of success that you are destined to achieve, you need to be determined and you can't let anything get in your way. And every time someone tells you you can't do it, use that as motivation to say, you know what, I'm going to prove to you that I am. And on that note, it's good night from me. I've been your host, Jamal Ahmed, and special thanks to our guest, Kazi Shafiqur Rahman.